Good morning out there, everybody. Welcome to the Bottom Line Show. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning. Saturday morning. What is it looking like out there? Up a little cloudy. It's cold. How cold is it up there?
See, okay, all right. So this is the 3 minute weather report. So Texas. I didn't even look at the weather. I'm just gonna guess. What is it? 62,
Pooh, man, you crazy. It's cold. I can tell
58.
you right now, it's 32 degrees, man.
What
It's been yes, it's been cold all week. What is it? What's the temperature
in
there?
Texas?
Yes, it's
It's.
been
I
cold
think it's.
all
I
week,
think it said
man.
it was 22 this morning in Ohio. So
Ooh,
it's really 32 in Texas.
yeah,
So you
man. It's
got
been
like
like
frost on the windows in Texas?
yes. I had to scrape my windows every day this week. Ever since I've been back to, ever since I came back to Texas, it was warm the first couple of days I was back, but then like the work week came Monday, man, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah, Mark is speaking truth here for us in Ohio. It's like 20. Uh, so we
Said
got snow this week. So
20 freaking
it
dude. Oh,
feels
you
like
got
winter.
how much snow you get?
It was just a little bit, a few
Okay.
inches maybe, enough that it stuck.
Did you see the
Mostly
picture of the
gone. It's mostly
Buffalo?
gone now. But,
Did you see the picture of the Buffalo Stadium?
I did not. I heard that there
You
was a
did
lot in
not.
Buffalo. Though. I
You
did
did
not
not see
see
the
the pictures
Buffalo
of.
Stadium. Oh, dude, it's like crazy. I couldn't believe what I saw there. I'm gonna see if I can grab a snapshot of it, but it was like super super crazy. And I want to see if I can make this picture big or not. I'm
Anyway,
gonna just
so
share.
if you're out there, you could share what your temperature, your weather stories for the week. If you're out there, um,
See if I can get a
give us an
picture of this
update.
for you. Look
You're
how
looking
big
good
this
though,
is,
bro. You're
man.
looking good though, brother. I didn't see you
Oh,
last
thank
week.
you.
You're looking pretty good.
That's the football. That's Buffalo's football stadium. You see the goalpost standing right there and to the right?
Do they have a home game tomorrow?
Well, they
Wow.
moved it to Detroit. They play the Browns.
Seriously?
They play the Browns tomorrow.
Oh, okay. See, I've been really, really busy. I got my parents' anniversary party today. I've been kind of out of it.
Oh,
So
awesome.
The Browns are playing Buffalo. It's a Buffalo home game. It's going to be in Detroit,
Yes.
of all places.
Yes. So I'm like, why not play in Buffalo? You know what I'm saying? Let's play to the elements. But when I looked at the stadium, I was like, wow,
It doesn't look
that's not
possible.
that's not
Man,
where are you gonna sit?
that's brutal.
Yeah. So they're supposed to get like another supposed to be like a total of like 40 something inches or 70 something inches. I couldn't remember, man. Crazy. Yeah. So I can't wait for spring.
Uh, what's Golden Mile Crow? Help me out here, James.
What's that?
Do you know what he's Mr. Barry, Sir Barry's referring to here, Sir James?
I know who Crowell was. He went to school with us, right? Kurt Gold. What is that? I don't
I'm not
understand
sure
the
what he's
statement.
referring to here.
I don't either. Come
Anyway,
on,
so
James. Hit
we
me back
missed.
some more stuff. Oh, we gotta send James a link too, by the way. He wants to get down with us sometime, and he mentioned it. I think it was last
I
week.
saw the message last week.
So
Sorry we weren't on last week, people. So it's good to be back doing this again.
so what I'm gonna
And
do is
I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for 1 hour. So
what I'm gonna do is yeah, the show's only gonna be an hour today. I'm gonna go ahead and send this to James, and if he wants to join us today, he could join us, man, and
yeah,
get down with some
I'd
of this
like to get.
conversation.
I'd like to talk to James.
Yeah, he
I'm
comes
not
up.
sure if we had James on the show. Have we?
I don't think so.
So,
Me and
anyways,
James goes all the way back to daycare on Libby Road. Libby Road.
dang.
Yeah, that's how far back we go, man.
Ye-
Yep. I wonder if he remember those days.
um, the election has mostly concluded, with the exception of Georgia, the Georgia Senate race between Warnock and Walker.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? What do you got? I got lots
Well,
of thoughts, but
I think that the Democrats did better than anyone expected them to do. Number one.
Yes.
The other thing was that just about, I would say, majority of the Trump supporter or election deniers that ran for office lost majority of them.
Yeah.
So
The
those are
Trump
two good
endorsed
things.
people. That
Yeah.
made a lot of news.
So those are two good things right there. Those are two good things. So that's going to be a help. And then you have, they still got the Senate battle going on.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that bothers me is this division going on in Georgia. The division is what bothers me.
How
Is
so?
because it seems like race always becomes an issue. And I've been saying this for a while, that the black community really dictates how an election is going to go. If you really look down at major elections, that swing typically goes with how they vote.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at Georgia right now, the whole conversation is about where black men are going to vote.
Okay.
Then I hear people on both sides of the aisle speak about, what the other one is saying. That's not us. We all can't vote the same. We don't have to believe the same way. The other one says, we're not stupid. You're not country bumpkins like you think we are. We're not we're not going to vote for Herschel Walker. He's stupid. He's dumb. And, I hear these back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's crazy. And so when you listen to some media strictly about Georgia's race, it comes down to this back and forth split with the black community on Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is where we're at. Then I look at the other side of the coin, where you look at the Republican leaders, how they boost up Herschel Walker. I have never seen them. I take that back. I'm not gonna say I've never seen. There are so many other Republicans. If you want to put a person of color to run for Senate against Warnock, why would you get someone that uneducated? The dude did you see when he called John Lewis a senator? Did you hear that interview?
No.
Oh man. He was they were talking about the John Lewis Voting Rights Act bill. So this conservative media writer spoke about this. And he said, well, why do the Democrats keep pushing this John Lewis voting rights bill? It goes against everything, it goes against everything and all this stuff. And Herschel Walker jumped in and said, yeah, Senator Lewis is a good name. It's embarrassing they would use his good name and push a bill like this. Okay, two stupid things just happened, and three stupid things just happened when I out of that statement. Herschel Walker calls him a senator twice. Then he says, why would the Democrats push this bill with his name on it? Thirdly, the media guy, the interviewer, never corrected Herschel Walker. So we continue to allow him to speak out of stupidity. And make all that bad, John Lewis wrote the bill. That's why they're pushing it with his name on it. How can that guy be that stupid to be in an interview and not know anything about who's a congressman and who's a senator? John Lewis was a congressman.
Are you surprised at that? I'm not surprised he doesn't know.
No. No, what I'm saying is that it goes back to what I said earlier, that the Republicans put somebody in a place. They could have got somebody way more smarter and intelligent to compete with Warnock on that level. But to me, it makes a mockery. It's saying that that's how they view the community, and they push that, and the community show that they're split over it. That's what's so crazy.
Well, is the community actually split? Because I just looked it up here. It only says that 7% of African Americans of Black Georgia voters support Herschel Walker. 7%. That's not really that much of a split.
Then you look at how many didn't vote. Look at how many didn't vote in Georgia. So many people didn't vote. They didn't vote at all. It was so many people didn't vote.
I think most people see through Walker. Don't you think? Most people are going to see through that.
Yeah, but people become tribal. That's what it's been for the last 6 years is politics has become very tribal, and they're not looking at issues at hand. They're looking at the party,
Hmm.
not the issues. They will. It was what was it? Who was that? Oh, I was listening to another call-in radio show, a call-in show, and they asked the caller, "What is it?" Well, I can't remember the exact word, but basically what he said was he's going to vote Republican regardless. They were talking about the lies that people tell, and he said, "You know," he was talking about Donald Trump. He said, "You know, he lied, right? He was lying, right?"
Hmm.
He said, "Well, yeah." He said, "But you're voting for him anyway." He said, "What would make you change?" He said, "Nothing will make me change." He said, "I never vote for a liberal." So that means that even if the liberal is telling the truth, he will not vote for him. He would not even take his side, even if he's telling the truth. That's the condition that we're in right now in our country
Of
when it comes
course.
to
Of course we are.
but that's the sad that goes all the way back to Herschel Walker. You can look at Herschel Walker, listen to him talk. All you need is one. All you need to do here is one interview of Herschel Walker, one interview, and you'll sit back and say, "Wow, that's who they picked." And you're like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's bad.
I
That goes
mean,
with Margie Taylor Greene. That goes with Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake was a really good news reporter, from what I understand, a newscaster. And
oh, and
to
by the way, she used to not so long ago, within pretty recent memory, she was a Democrat.
yeah, but people can't believe that she's the way what she says now.
Yep.
It doesn't. They saying this doesn't reflect who she was, or maybe who she was not the real Carrie Lake. This is who the real Carrie Lake is. It's possible. So
I would go the opposite because I would go the opposite. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows
we
about
don't
her?
know.
She's losing. She has lost. Basically, she lost the election. So thank God for that. Arizona went blue. We had the Senate. We gained. Kept a seat in the Senate for Arizona. Gained a seat in Nevada. Um, Florida went red. Michigan went blue. Pennsylvania governorship or Pennsylvania Senate seat was gained. It went blue. Ohio stayed red, but Ryan made a good run at it. James says if you
Ryan
notice
blew it.
many of the what's that?
Ryan blew it on his own.
Blew it. Tim Ryan?
Ryan, yes. The
How did he
comments,
blow it?
the comments he made. I can't remember the exact comments, but he blew it in regards to um, speaking on the things about Trump. What he said made
It's
people
true, James.
question
Kerry
him.
Lake still has not conceded. That's true.
Yeah, Trump. Tim Ryan said something. I gotta find it. He said some things that was like negative. It didn't look good as a Democratic person who's opposing a Trump endorsed candidate, and it made
Wow.
people
See, I don't
question
know.
Tim
He
Ryan.
he overperformed. He
Yeah,
overperformed. I
we're not
think.
talking about the debate. We're talking about some of the ads that was put out, and it
Well,
made people
you're gonna have to
question
show
him.
me examples of that because
I
I'm gonna
will.
probably have to disagree with that. But
Joy
the
Reid,
question that I've had
Joy
on
Reid.
screen,
If you watched the election that night, the election night, Joy Reid was the only one that brought it up, and they agreed with her that this might hurt him in the for the elections, because the people only see snippets. They don't look at whole debates. They don't look at whole interviews. They catch things, and he said some things. I kind
Mhm,
of
mhm.
find it. I gotta find
Well,
it.
James, I agree with James here. He thought that Tim Ryan ran a great campaign. I tend to agree.
Not
Um,
he didn't run a great campaign. I said he said some things in ads that
okay,
that
okay.
may have made people like, screw it, I'm not voting for anybody. I'll find it. But go ahead.
James makes the point that we need a Dem candidate that is a centrist. I think for Ohio that played well. It played well in Ohio because Tim Ryan kept talking about how he's not afraid to vote against his party. He's not afraid to challenge his party leadership. That he is a maverick, going back to McCain's moniker of being a maverick in his party. But he really kind of was. He's strong, working class person, down to earth. Spoke the truth, tell that how it is, and that appealed to a lot of people in Ohio. So, because Ohio is a red state, that's true. So, the question that I've had on screen is, did the GOP get blown out? I keep hearing this question. Um, I keep hearing this by left wing pundits and people that do spin and people that do talk shows like us that from the left that, oh, it's so embarrassing for the GOP, but they did win the House. Okay, so did they really get blown out? Is it really a case of, oh my gosh, the Republicans are reeling from this past election? I'm not totally convinced that they are in general. That it was such a overwhelming defeat for the Republicans. So let
Yeah.
me know what your thoughts are about that because I tend to disagree that, well, I mean, they did win the House. A blowout would be not winning the House in a midterm election when you were expected to do that. They did that. They didn't hang on to the Senate, but it's still close. You still have to deal with Manchin and Sinema, who are always in the middle of any vote. So I'm not truly convinced that it was a blowout necessarily.
Okay.
Leanne says, I think that taxing Tim Ryan ads were relenting and got in people's minds. I had numerous children bring them up and when talking about tax collectors in the Bible. By the way, so Leanne teaches an after school Bible club. Um, I'm not sure what those ads are. So you're gonna have to show me there.
I gotta find it. They were talking about it the night of the vote, the night of the election. They mentioned they were. She brought it up, and I didn't know anything about it till I saw this, and she was saying she feels it could hurt him,
Okay.
and um, you
Mark
know,
says the Republicans did not get blown up, but the MAGA sect of it did. Now
they
that
did.
I will agree with.
Yeah,
People like Kerry Lake, um, Mastriano in Pennsylvania, people that were hardcore election deniers, made that part of their campaign, were defeated, and that's something that that is a relief. That is what I was concerned about with this
yeah,
election. Is some of those people would get into governorships and get into Secretary of States, and then make a problem for 2024, and that may still happen.
yep.
And the Georgia election still weighs heavy going forward. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Raphael Warnock to have to go through this for another 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. Did you
Um,
notice that also how they had that already in stone that
that was
they was gonna have
expected to go to a runoff, though.
that they were gonna there's no the time frame of the runoff to be so soon. That was something that was already set. Also, that the military, people that are away in the military, there's like either they can't they won't have time to cast their vote for this runoff election in the military. It was some things like that in regard. It was a couple of things that was listed that they felt that this runoff was too soon because it doesn't give everybody opportunity to vote, and it was already set in place
Interesting.
by the
You would
Secretary of
think
State.
you would think that 6 weeks would be enough time to mail in a ballot.
But it was some stuff. Unless they changed it, I can't remember how many. I thought it was less than that. It's 6 weeks now.
Well, look that up.
Yeah, but it was some
Leanne
stuff there
says
about that.
the party in power typically loses 30 seats during a midterm. In that regard, they blew it. Yes, but I'm not talking about what's typical. I'm talking about in the grand scheme of things, what was the final score? You might have been favored by 21 points and win by 7. You still won. You still had power. Oz in Pennsylvania went down in flames. So we're going to talk about what the GOP, now that they do have the majority in the House, wants to do with their time. So what did they run on? They ran on crime. They ran on inflation. They ran on immigration. So what are they going to do with it now? Well, they're going to spend their capital that the electors of this country have given them to investigate Joe Biden and
Got a
to
question.
investigate the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and try and do some revenge play.
Got a question. Back to George again. Did you hear anything like this rumor that was going around that if you did not vote in the general election, that you cannot vote in the runoff?
Nope.
Yeah, that was a rumor that's going around in Georgia. It's not true, but it's a rumor. I mean, the rules are you can vote even if you didn't vote in the primary. I mean, in the general election. But the rumor is, again, like I was saying, a lot of division going on in Georgia right now.
Well, Georgia is the new purple state of this last several years. It used to be Ohio, used to be Florida, no longer. It's places like Georgia, and it's going to be Texas soon.
Yeah,
It's going to be places like Nevada
yeah.
that are going to determine elections in the next decade or so.
I think that's why. What's her name? Stacey Abrams is a real threat to Georgia conservatives. She's a real
Wisconsin,
threat.
Pennsylvania, Virginia,
Yeah.
North Carolina, these states are going to be determining elections in the future. Um,
But
this
go ahead.
is a
What you
little.
about Biden? You were talking about them. I didn't mean to cut you. I just wanted to ask that question because something I was just hearing recently. But you can go in with Hunter Biden. Talking
So
about that.
the GOP, the Republicans that are now controlling the House want to investigate who else? Good old Hunter Biden.
Also making headlines on the Hill, House Republicans are outlining their plans after clinching the majority in that chamber. The lawmakers say they will be targeting President Biden and his family's business dealings. The White House says the investigations are politically motivated and a waste of time. I feel like I've heard that before, but from a different family. Tom Dempsey joins us live from the Capitol with all the details. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Mitch. Yeah, this morning, with this new majority in the House, first called by News Nation this week, House Republicans continue to make it clear that investigations will be a top priority for them. And the very first investigation will revolve around Hunter Biden and his business dealings. This investigation would, really focus in on Hunter Biden's time with an energy company in Ukraine and how he tried to make deals in China. In a press conference on Capitol Hill on Thursday, Representative James Comer, in line to chair the House Oversight Committee next year, said, quote, troubling questions emerged after lawmakers and staff analyzed messages and financial dealings on a laptop that belonged to Hunter Biden. Republicans say they gathered details from multiple whistleblowers about alleged schemes with the Biden family, and that they want to examine if President Biden possibly became involved.
To be clear, Joe Biden is the big guy. This evidence raises troubling questions about whether President Biden is a national security risk and about whether he is compromised by foreign governments.
Now, in response to this, the White House counsel's office called this announcement a political attack and accused Republicans of wasting time on political revenge. It's also very important to note that Hunter Biden does remain under federal investigation at the moment, but he has not faced any charges as of yet. Also important to note that Hunter Biden does not hold an official position with the White House. Mitch?
Okay, Tom, so that is President Biden's family. What other investigations might we see from House Republicans?
Yeah, this announcement yesterday really giving us a glimpse of possibly what to expect with House Republicans. Again, they're saying investigations will be a top priority for them. In particular, we could see, Representative Jim Jordan mentioned possibly the Judiciary Committee investigating the, quote, politicization of the Department of Justice under President Joe Biden, as well as a possible investigation into the Afghanistan withdrawal. Mitch?
Okay, that's Tom Dempsey reporting live for us this morning from Washington.
And I just have to throw this little one in here that you found this morning.
My last question is just what are the grounds
If we
to
can keep it about Hunter Biden, this is kind of a big deal, we think. If we can keep it about Hunter Biden, that would be great.
Okay, so
that's where we're at.
Instead
That's
of
where we're
doing
at.
some sort of task force to find out why inflation is so high, I'll give them a little hint just to help them out. Corporate profits are through the roof, or the supposed crime spree that's happening across America's cities. Doing something about that Americans are so concerned about, as they said, or trying to change immigration issues, trying to build up the border or safety concerns, take away sanctuary city status, something like that. This is what they ran on, and yet this is what they're going to spend their time doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we see you, we notice you, we know what you're all about, and you are a bunch of trolls. They're a bunch of trolls. Tell me how is it worthwhile? Anyone can tell me how is it worthwhile? We talked about this to investigate Hunter Biden.
It doesn't impact our day to day. It doesn't impact us as some of the things that we see from like me and you were talking about the difference between Hunter Biden investigation and the Donald Trump investigation. The Donald Trump investigation can impact us right now. The things that are going on with Trump supporters are affecting us right now. Like we mentioned, Pelosi's husband just got his head beat with a hammer last week. That was all
Yep.
political. Nothing with Hunter Biden is like affecting us right now. Nothing. But during that investigation of Hunter Biden, we have found the ties and connections with Giuliani, with Pompeo, with General Flynn, ex-general, humiliated, disgraced Flynn. The things that there's so many other things that have come across with Hunter Biden investigation that impacted more GOP supporters than Democratic supporters. So I don't think Hunter Biden's going to really affect us that much.
No, of course not. So
No.
you mentioned the big orange troll. Speaking of trolls, so for a long time since he's been out of the White House, I've resisted talking about him, but he made his announcement this week to the quiet applause of those gathered in his Mar-a-Lago estate. And the question I have for everyone out there, for you, Lamar, is will he lose the nomination to DeSantis?
Not sure. I'm just not sure because you got to remember,
Just not sure.
half the country voted for him for presidency in 2020.
Okay.
And many of those people, although election deniers are falling off now after this midterm election, I never put nothing past them. I mean, people like Donald Trump. It's just flat out they like Donald Trump.
Don't you think that his enthusiastic support is waning?
It depends. It depends on who you're asking. It depends on when that election comes around. I would say after this year is complete, and there's one when 2023 comes rolling around, and you see the state of our country will determine who's going to win that nomination. DeSantis may get some Republican supporters who have broken away from Donald Trump. That doesn't mean those supporters aren't going to still be there. They're going to still keep pushing that same agenda, and it's sad. It's sad.
Interesting. James says Trump will not even make it to the primaries. One of the questions is these ongoing investigations in New York State, and now
That's what will stop
there
him.
was a big announcement by the Attorney General Merrick Garland about looking into some Trump things and establishing an independent, what's the name for it? The independent group to investigate that. So Jeff says DeSantis will win. Just giving us a prediction, Jeffrey. He would not allow DeSantis to do better than him. He will rip him apart. I don't think DeSantis has a platform to run. Yay. I don't know to run yet. Leanne Mez. I don't know. I'm thinking DeSantis because you're seeing some mainstream Republican support from Fox News and other places that given a lot of respect to DeSantis. So he's poised to run. He's in good position. When asked about it by the media, he dodged the question. So I think he's playing coy. And I think that he has the upper hand, believe it or not. It's Trump that's the one that's going to have to throw the punches. And I think that's just going to look bad. It's going to look bad.
The only thing that's going to hurt Trump right now from getting in there, I think, is like we mentioned earlier about him really getting bad, getting close to a this investigation in New York. I think we talked about this. I think I talked to you about this. That the Department of Justice is not pushing, in my opinion, to do anything with Trump. They're waiting
You don't think so?
on they're waiting on New York. They're waiting on
Oh,
New York to make that move first
okay.
because it takes the
Okay.
pressure off the Department of Justice. It takes the federal government out of it.
No,
They
that's
don't
a good
want
point.
that
That's a good point.
they don't want that weight on them. And to me, that just shows people are saying Garland's a punk right now. He rather see and think about it. Think about it. Letitia James, Trump hates Letitia James. That's going to be a whole nother firestorm right there. Her versus Trump and his supporters. So that's what the GOP rather see her handle because they don't want to carry the weight that she has to carry with that. And to me, I think that's just very weak from our Department of Justice, in my opinion.
So Letitia James, those of you who may not be familiar, she won a second term as the AG of New York, and so strong personality. That that'll be an interesting clash of personality, and it'll be very interesting to see. I'm gonna make sure we stock up on popcorn for that.
Just imagine Trump getting beat by a woman. That's what it's going to come down to. Think about it.
We all knew that Trump was going to announce, and he kind of, I mean, I'm going to make a big announcement next Tuesday, right? A week after the elections, and it just keeps getting worse and worse for him, and he's treading water, trying not to drown.
Was his family with him? I didn't even
Well,
watch it. I didn't even watch it.
I didn't see his family. I know that his daughter is apparently not by his side this time.
Well, she's not going to be in politics anymore at all because they already got paid by the Saudis, so they're not even worried about it. They got paid already.
Okay.
They got paid already. They're not even thinking. They're like, I'm out. Him and her and Jared Kushner. They're like, I'm done with politics. Yeah, of course you are.
Because they got paid by the Saudis?
They got paid, man.
Okay. That's
I gotta
interesting.
do more research. I gotta do some more research on that one, but they got paid. So they're not getting involved with this. It was about the money.
Eric Trump was there. Okay.
Was he?
yeah.
Really?
Ivanka said no thanks. Yeah. Yeah, so haha. Here we go again, and the quicker that if he is to go down, the quicker that he goes down, the better. The better for us as Americans, the better for our collective psyche, I think. Kushner was there? Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize he was there.
I believe you. The only thing I saw was like highlights, such as they were the highlights of the speech. This it was like an hour long meandering announcement speech. I mean, and talk about like unexciting either. It was just it was strange. Any rate, Twitter's been making lots of news. Elon Musk.
Oh, by the way, I gotta hold you up right here. This is one of the things. Before committing $2 billion to Mr. Kirshner's fledgling firm, officials had a fund led by the Saudi Crown Prince taking such a big risk. They're questioning the big risk he took. So 6 months after leaving the White House, Jared Kushner secured a $2 billion investment from a fund led by the Saudi Crown Prince, a close ally during the Trump administration, despite objections from the fund's advisors about the merits of the deal. Y'all can look into that if y'all want, but I said what I said earlier before the article came out. So it's not like I found the article then spoke about it. So just letting you know, they got paid. He's out of politics. He's moving on.
So we're not going to see an investigation about that, of course, huh?
Oh, of course not. It's not nothing new. The stuff they were doing, he did that right after he left the White House. That's what I'm saying. This was work doing prior to that. Why didn't Donald Trump want to get involved with the crown prince over Khashoggi? Was it Khashoggi? What's the guy's name? The journalist Khashoggi. He didn't want to get involved with that
He loves the
investigation.
Saudis. That was like he visited Saudi Arabia. What was it? 2 weeks after he was inaugurated.
But maybe not just about him loving them. What I'm saying is that a $2 billion deal doesn't just happen overnight. These are years in the making. This is not something that just pops off. So there was already a relationship there. That's why I say that they're out of it, because if that investigation goes deep into saying, well, Jared was doing this while in the White House, you know what I'm saying? That could cause a lot of problems. He waited after it up the White House and they secure a deal. 6 months. You're going to tell me that deal wasn't being negotiated prior to 6 months?
No, you're probably right. You're probably right.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money. You don't secure
believe you.
deals like that.
I believe it. I think he probably did get paid. I wouldn't doubt it at all, of course.
Well, he got paid. The question is, when did that negotiation start? He got paid. There's no doubt. He got paid $2 billion. But when did that negotiation start? That's the question.
I see. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Of course, he did get paid. That's reported. When did it start? Definitely when Trump was in office. It had to be. How else would he have contact and access to them? So,
yeah.
Twitter's melting down. It's a garbage fire. I cannot believe how bad it is. And Elon Musk, who was held up as this sort of genius of our modern age, is appearing inept and cruel. Is this he paid $40 billion. He paid like 4 times as much that Twitter was worth. And he's just been a complete disaster. I mean, you walk in and you fire half of your staff, then you demand your remaining staff to be committed to working longer hours, and they basically give him a collective finger. You're going to try and start these a paid service, verified service of $8 a month or whatever it was. That was a disaster because people began to clone accounts, and there was some stocks that plummeted because people would pretend to be different companies and put out something on Twitter. So I would be surprised if Twitter lasts 6 months. I'd give it only a few months. And if it does survive, it'll be much diminished and inconsequential. Here is just some of the things.
But he agreed to do this.
About this. What's that?
He agreed to slash those jobs prior to this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, back in April. Before he even bought it, he said he was going to cut the jobs in half.
I mean, what kind of person does that? I mean, you walk into a company and fire half of your employees. How does that build loyalty among your company? How does that of people that are skilled laborers who want to who you depend on?
No, I agree. I would feel like crap if my employer came to me with that kind of attitude. I'm busting my tail already. You're working hard already, and then you're going to tell you to work harder or lose your job. I'm like, Twitter is going to be the first social media company that hires like that's unionized. You watch. That's crazy.
Oh, you think? Okay, that'd be interesting. Musk would not allow that.
Well, ain't that about what he's going to allow. It can happen.
Interesting. Musk is not as bright as people thought. That's kind of what I've been saying here in my little rant against him. He was, he inherited a bunch of money from his South African corrupt family during apartheid. Just saying, now Jeff has a different opinion. He says that Musk is cutting the fat, getting rid of those people that sit around in BMAG chairs and break rooms collecting paychecks. Maybe that's the case. There's always probably people that do that in big companies. Twitter's not as big as people, I think it is. And their reach is not as big as people assume that it is. It makes news every day because of of the nature of its platform. But I'm not so sure that there's a lot of people sitting around in B-Bank chairs. He had an end game, I guarantee it. I don't know. I
I don't
question his
either.
methods. What is his end game? What is the end game other than to turn it into his own personal playground of
Yeah.
free speech, supposedly free speech?
The end game
Here,
is ruining Twitter. That's the end game.
here's a little video about more of this information here.
A flood of farewell messages rolling in at Twitter after Elon Musk gave employees an ultimatum: commit to working in an extremely hardcore fashion, including long hours at high intensity or leave with 3-month severance. Now, sources tell ABC News dozens of employees are resigning, with many sending the salute emoji over the company's internal messaging board. Meanwhile, Twitter employees were reportedly locked out of office buildings overnight, giving the company more time to figure out who still works there.
I've been talking to people all day. One former executive who recently exited told me that with all these departures, it's going to be hard just to keep the lights on over there.
It comes as a group of Democratic senators call for the Federal Trade Commission to investigate Musk's recent actions. Musk has not responded to requests for comment, but in a tweet last night, he seemingly joked about how much he paid Twitter, roughly $44 billion, posting, "How do you make a small fortune in social media? Start out with a large one." It's the latest turmoil since the billionaire purchased Twitter. Musk immediately fired 50% of the workforce. Then, one of his ideas allowed users to pay for the verification checkmark. Twitter paused the feature after people were impersonating celebrities and brands. And last week, ABC News obtained exclusive audio of Musk in another meeting, demanding his employees return to the office.
If you can't show up at an office and you do not show up at the office, resignation accepted. End of story.
Some advertisers have now paused spending on the platform until there's more clarity on Twitter's direction. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
I like the verification thing, by the way, because the thing about it is the average person is not going to pay for verification because they don't need to. It's the celebrities and the different people with the big names that people are copying their names.
But then you're
So
going to
I,
get a bunch of you're not going to get the only people that are going to have a voice then are the ones that can afford to pay for it.
no, everyone has a voice. You're not just not considered verified, which means your voice may not be um, up there with someone who's verified. When I say up there, which means like you can, it's just saying you're who you say you are. Um, because so many people are copying celebrities' names. You could type in a celebrity's name, you're gonna see 5 people's names exactly like it, especially on Facebook. But I understand that. But a person like myself, no one's trying to copy my name. You know, they're not trying to do that on Twitter. So I'm not. I can care less about that part. I mean, I don't think it's fair. You shouldn't have to pay anything. But I get it. You know, I get that. That's the only thing about it because he said he wants some clarity in who's on Twitter, which I think it should be right because so many people put this misinformation out and you can't verify who they are. So
Well,
now
okay,
you can
so
put out misinformation now, and they can verify who you are.
except that it was a disaster when it started.
Well,
You would think
because
that with
because
how
he's a disaster.
smart he supposedly is, and the smart people that supposedly work there, if he hasn't gotten rid of them by now, would be able to figure this out so that it is a secure platform,
Right.
and you could have a verified user that doesn't get cloned. I know that happens on Facebook sometimes, but you
Yeah.
know, you would think that to be able to have a rollout that is less problematic.
Well, if he had not bought the company and was a jerk about how he went about it the first month or so, things would have worked a little smoother. He came in like a jerk. So no matter
You know,
what he tries to implement, it's going to look bad. It's not going to be. It's not going to have any type of credibility to it because he screwed up coming in.
it is his company. He has a right to run it how he wants to, Jeffrey. We have a right to quit if you know. how would you feel if the CEO of your company was came in, bought your company, and said, "We're going to lay off half of your employees, and
Well,
then expect the same amount of work to be done, and demand that you work extra hours?" Um, they're going. How do you expect people are going to react?
well, I'm saying it happens all the time. People quit all the time because companies are ran bad. That happens all the time. I mean, when companies are ran bad, when employees are not treated properly, they leave.
This is
So imagine how it is when you have someone comes in the way Elon Musk did. Those who have no option will stay. Those who have no career objectives will stay. But
these
the
and
average
these are
person
people
is
that
gone.
have these are people that are highly qualified, that are young, mostly young, that will have a lot of other opportunities to go somewhere else.
No, when I say that they
So
don't have a plan.
that's why they're giving them, that's why they're like, all right, fine, goodbye.
Yeah, but you have the people. I said the people who stay a lot of times are those that don't have a plan. Even if you want to leave, you'll stay because you have no plan. That's what I'm saying. And it
Um,
happens all the time, especially in these with big companies. I've
I
seen it
mean,
myself. I mean, this people will stay because they don't have an out plan. They don't have.
yeah,
They have never prepared for the what if something doesn't go right.
sure.
So
My
that's
question
all
is,
I'm saying.
how did he become so successful, anyways? How did he make money to begin with? If this is the way he runs things, is this the way he runs Tesla? Is this the
You know,
way he
well,
runs SpaceX? I mean,
people
how
love
is it that he
Tesla.
came? How is it that he came into this as being so revered in American society? Oh my God, because he's the richest man in the world, the richest person in the world. He must be a genius, right? And he's been exposed now. He's been exposed, I
Yeah,
think. I
yeah.
mean, these people are nothing but greedy bastards. They are. They're greedy, selfish bastards, and I'm tired of holding up people like Bezos and Musk. They have little redeeming qualities for me. I'm sorry if that offends anybody out there, but that's my point of view. He's a bully, and he thinks he's better than people, and that rubs me the wrong way. I wouldn't work for Twitter if you gave me $1 million a year.
There's no proof of his IQ.
Because
There's
it's
no
probably
there's
average.
there's no official
It's
evidence
probably
proving
pretty average.
his IQ is stated as 155, but there's no official evidence proving the precise amount.
Well, there's one final topic I want to make sure that we get to. Brittany Griner, she has been moved to a penal colony that was about 300 miles southwest of Moscow in kind of brutal conditions. Now, again, she was arrested at an airport for CBD oil. It wasn't like she had joints rolled up in her suitcase or anything. So this is something that's pretty benign, and yet she's been tried and sentenced to 9 years in prison. This has been going on for at least, what, 8 months? Almost a year, maybe, has it been?
Yeah.
And our government's trying to arrange a prisoner swap, giving the Russians a terrorist back for Brittany Griner. Would this happen to an NBA star? Would this happen to give me anyone?
Well, they say they call that place Welcome to
Kyrie
Hell.
Irving?
They call it Welcome to Hell, that the prison that she's in. It's a women's facility.
It's just sad. It's just
Rat
sad
infested.
and wrong. It's so wrong.
It's
It's
a
so
rat.
wrong.
It's a rat infested prison, like slavery-like
Yep.
conditions.
I just
Ugh.
mourn for her. I just feel for her. Here's a short video about the update with this story.
The latest on Brittany Griner. The WNBA star is now in a penal colony in Russia. This morning, we're learning more on how she's doing as she faces harsh new conditions. And Stephanie Ramos is here with the details. Good morning, Stephanie.
Juju, good morning. This is the first news we've had on Brittany Griner's whereabouts in nearly 2 weeks. Her legal team has confirmed they've seen her at female female penal colony IK2 in the remote Mordovia region, nearly 300 miles outside of Moscow. Human rights activists say abuse and torture are common in Russia's vast prison system, with former prisoners of IK2 describing it as harsh, not hygienic, and with little access to medical care. Inmates are typically expected to work 12 to 16-hour days doing tedious manual tasks, getting paid just a couple of dollars a month. In a statement, her legal team confirmed they visited Griner earlier this week, saying she is doing as well as could be expected and trying to stay strong as she adapts to this new environment. Griner is facing 9 years behind bars over a drug conviction. Now her only hope of getting home early is a prisoner swap. It's understood Russia and the U.S. have discussed swapping Griner and another American prisoner, Paul Whelan, for a Russian arms dealer jailed in the U.S., but no deal has been finalized. Juju.
Stephanie Ramos, thank you.
We got to get her out of there. You got to get her out of there.
Yeah. What are you gonna use as trade?
Apparently that terrorist guy.
No,
The
they're
guy
not
that's,
gonna. That hasn't happened yet. It's gonna be something else. Well, like what was this guy made a comment? What was it? They should. Oh, the Ukrainian soldiers. So Ukraine has a bunch of Russian soldiers, basically in prison. Just they've captured since the war started. That would be a tool that can be used to get Griner out. Would be the soldiers that the Russians want. They want their people back. That would be something I could see of a trade. You don't have to be all the Russian soldiers. It could be some of the high-profile officials. But whatever it is, there could be a trade. I'd rather see that trade more so than a arms dealer. An arms dealer. But the United Nations got to be in agreement with that and push that forth. But that would be something I think that we should be, talking to our State Department about pushing forward. I mean, I would say that if you're listening to this show now and you believe that Brittany Griner should come home, you should be on the phone calling your politicians and saying, let's make this kind of deal versus an arms dealer. That's how we can. As citizens of the United States can impact or can contribute to helping resolve this issue. We also have a voice. We talk about these stories, we make news about these stories, we give our opinions about these stories, but how often do we actually get involved in helping the situation? And so, I mean, that goes with any issue in our country or that can affect our country is how are we impacting it? How are we going to make a change? And this is something that we can step in and make a change with.
I know that you wanted to talk about hazing on college campuses. Is that correct?
It's just something something that came about because of the football players that got murdered in University of Virginia. I'm just still doing some investigation there, but I was seeing things that said the guy was being bullied at one point. Now, I'm not sure if it was hazing. Was it hazing because I know he played on the team at one time. I'm not sure if he's still there. And it just made me look deeper. And I saw this documentary on PBS about hazing. And so I got a trailer. There's a trailer there that I listed. And if you want to watch, you can take a look at it. But the trailers
let's look at that.
Profile.
I love being in a Greek-led organization. It's a vibrant community, but membership can come at a heavy cost. We were taking well over 100 strokes per night.
Push-ups, liquor, chug until you throw up.
It's peer pressure in its rawest form.
I didn't want to let my pledge sisters down.
You never should have to die to belong.
It's our silence that's an act of betrayal, but that all ends now.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so that guy who wrote the documentary, Byron Hurt, heard an interview with him yesterday, and that's what made me check out the PBS broadcast. But he was saying how he got into a Greek organization, and he thought some of the treatment was cruel and unnecessary. But then when he crossed and became official member, he turned around and did the same thing, hazing others. And
Wow.
then this one guy he interviewed in the documentary, he states how
Okay.
this guy for 27 years never talked about the hazing. This was the first time he talked about it.
Wow.
And they remembered the time that the guy who wrote the documentary hazed this person he's now interviewing, and he grabbed him by the throat and dragged him up the stairs. And
Wow.
he said that was the last time he put his hands on somebody, that he knew that it was wrong. But I mean, there's so many people that have died. They show a list of how many people each year have died from hazing, and the families go on without understanding what happened, because then if you think about it, you have these Greek organizations. You know, you're not suing the local chapter at that school. You're suing the organization. That's where money comes in. These are powerful people, all the way from our politicians, doctors, lawyers, athletes. But then you got to look at it also. These same organizations donate big dollars to the school. So the school steps back and don't say anything. So it's this cycle of mistreatment until people start speaking
Cycle of
out more.
silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Greek organizations have been great for networking and opportunities for people that are in those organizations. I've seen it happen to many people. But the flip side of that is, after it's all said and done, was some of the hazing that went on wasn't really necessary. So, and it goes deep. The documentary goes really deep into to the mental aspect of why people accept it. And you know, it's deep.
In other news, Pelosi has made a statement that she's not seeking leadership in the new House as minority leader. Who is next? Well, we have Hakeem Jeffries announcing his candidacy for the Speaker of the House. So let's listen to this.
Democrats are preparing to choose Nancy Pelosi's successor. Brooklyn Congressman Hakeem Jeffries officially announced his bid for minority leader in a letter to colleagues, asking them for support. If elected, the 52-year-old would be the first person of color to lead his party in the House. Massachusetts Representative Catherine Clark and also California's Pete Aguilar also announced their position announcements. In a statement, Speaker Pelosi said, in part, the 118th Congress House Democrats will be led by a trio that reflects our beautiful diversity of our nation. A new day is dawning, and I am confident that these new leaders will be capable to lead our caucus and the Congress.
So I think this is a good thing. I think that it's good to step aside and allow new blood in there. I thought this. I respect Nancy Pelosi, but I thought that this should have happened 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
So someone like Jeffries certainly support. I misspoke. He will not be Speaker of the House. It'll be minority leader.
Minority leader, yeah. They lost.
The House is flip side. So
yeah. So yeah, I mean, minority leader, but he could also be that majority leader if it flips back. So I think he has a great voice. I think he's well respected, and he doesn't back down. I think that's a good move. He doesn't back down. And if you look at any of those,
strong, we need somebody strong. We need somebody that responds. We need somebody that is, that has energy.
Yeah, he typically, if you look at any of the congressional hearings, he was like the voice that really made impact. And I think that's what's really cool about him. You know, he even got on Clarence Thomas. You know, I was looking at him like, he talking to a Supreme Court justice like this. You know, he was highlighting, come on, you need to check your household first.
He don't care. He's like the honey badger.
I'm like, man.
Honey badger don't care. He don't care.
He don't.
So we are at a precipice into the holidays. Next week we have Thanksgiving happening. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Lamar. And appreciate you. Thankful for you. Thankful for all our audience out there. Those of you that are listening to it live, listening to it later. There's a lot to be. I had an opportunity to reflect this week about, because I do a lot of complaining about things, and So I did have an opportunity this week to reflect and to truly be thankful for what we do have. There's a lot of problems in our culture right now, but in the end, we should be grateful. We should be thankful for our blessings um, that we have, that we have a roof over our heads, that we have enough to eat, that you know we have reason to hope for the future. So there's things to be thankful for. We want to make sure that we communicate that and we be a source of positive in people's lives, and we want to highlight what there is to be thankful for in our country. We are still free. We still a democracy, and we have fought to preserve that. So I'm thankful for the people that went and voted this week as well. So that's my
Yeah.
bottom line, really.
Yeah. I did some reflection. I went home last week, and I'm looking at
To
my
the sea
parents' house.
town, to the land.
Yeah, man. The weather wasn't too bad. It didn't snow until the day I left, which was great. It starts to have a little flex last Saturday rather. But it gave me opportunity to reflect because I wrote a post about it that you know it's great to see how many people care and love you. A lot of times we think people don't care, or we don't really sit back and analyze ourselves, self-reflect on the relationships that we have.
Mhm.
And so I went home for a funeral, and during that time, I got a chance. My dad also had surgery the week prior. He had like a
Oh,
total shoulder replacement, like
okay.
the whole thing. And so my dad is a person who's independent, so was there to help out around the house, helping him and my mom. And they're getting older, and they're very independent type people. So to have me
Yeah.
there, they were really appreciative of the help. It was not a lot of help, but the little bit of help that I did give in them 5 days, they were appreciative, and it just showed the love uh, that most people genuinely have for each other. Um,
Mhm.
and just visiting family, where family would just I had a lot of people requesting that I came by to visit, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of love, and I did my best. But then you sit back. When I got home, it made me reflect deeper of the opportunities that I've had in life. That no matter how much we complain about inequalities that we see in our country,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the things about discrimination, and the tribalism of politics, I sit back and I could say that I've had a blessed life. And I
Mhm.
thank God for that.
Mhm.
Like, truly, I thank God for it, that, my
Yeah.
life has been great. So this Thanksgiving, I hope that many of you get a chance to really sit back and reflect on not only your life, but how others have been impacted by your life and how they've impacted you. If you can sit back and reflect on that, there's no
Yes.
way you can walk away
Yes.
from Thanksgiving dinner feeling like, wow, no one cares about me.
Hmm.
There's someone who cares about you out there.
Yeah.
No matter how dim it looks, someone cares.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you out there for our audience, and thank you for being with us today. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week, and on our Thanksgiving weekend show. I guess I don't know what we're going to call it, but it will it
Yeah.
will officially be time to break out the Christmas music. Not yet. Don't do it yet.
And
No, you
Jeff,
can't.
by the
You
way,
can't. You can
uh,
if you want to. You can if you want to.
and Jeff Donnelly, let's get together for that. I think we did it once or twice. Had our Outback right before Christmas break, our Outback steak dinner. So let's get together and get the guys together, get us an Outback dinner, man. Give me a call.
All right. And with that note, we'll see you guys next time.
Next time.